Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJAY Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. On this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints offensive lineman Trevor Penning, an article that came out that suggested that the New Orleans Saints trade Trevor Penning. But thank you for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. If you're actually watching this, I'm recording this on a Saturday, which is very unusual. But I just finished recording the Unapologetic podcast, so I thought that maybe I'll just go ahead and knock out this one as well. I'm actually live right now, so for those that are in the chat, shouts out to you. I want to give a special shout out to everybody that's checking this out. Kai, I see you in there. Cartel. Not expecting too many people to actually be on a live on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, I can completely understand that. But for those that checking it out later, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot of these. But shouts out to the after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Now, when that actually went out, I couldn't even see that. I couldn't see that. So this is probably just a sign that we need to make this show as short as possible. Because, like I said, I'm recording this on a Saturday afternoon and everybody's at home. So internet probably is trash. But let's go ahead and get into it. Talk a little bit about Trevor Penning. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about Trevor Penning. He was drafted by the New Orleans Saints with the 19th pick back in 2022. And he was supposed to be the left tackle for the New Orleans Saints. Of course, the New Orleans Saints moving on from Terron Armstead. Terron Armstead, played with the New Orleans Saints for many years, has been the mainstay, was the cornerstone of the team at the left tackle position. The Saints decided to move on from Terron Armstead, and they decided to draft Trevor Penning. And we all fell in love with Trevor Penning. We all fell in love with the mean streak. We all seen him at the Senior Bowl and how he was giving every other defensive lineman a little bit of extra. And of course, that's what you want to see in your offensive lineman. You want to see your offensive lineman finish plays. And that was something that really, registered with the New Orleans Saints fans. And when the Saints drafted him, everybody just thought that he would be pretty good. And of course, there's been some growing pains for Mr. Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning ended up getting injured in his rookie season. Couldn't really practice, couldn't really be around the team. Dennis Allen, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, said that he looked at Trevor Penning's second year more so as his rookie year. And I don't know if he was just saying that just to try to instill some confidence in Penning, or the simple fact that he actually believed that. But nonetheless, Trevor Penning left a lot to be desired. So much so that Saints fans are extremely frustrated. They want to just throw the guy away. I feel that Trevor Penning would be better and more suitable at the guard position, and I still feel that way. But according to this article, this was on ESPN. ESPN, they did a little bit of a mock draft scenario. I'm going to go ahead and up on the screen. Hopefully it doesn't do what it did when I played the After Show Boys video, but hopefully you all can be able to see that. As a matter of fact, I guess I'll just wait. I'm going to put that up on the screen, make sure that everybody sees that. Can everybody see it? I'm going to go ahead and wait. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you to everybody here. I want to make sure that everybody be able to see this article that I put up. So if somebody can put in the chat if they can actually see this article, I really would appreciate that. But I'll go ahead and read some of your comments while I'm waiting on you all's response. Justin is in here. Thank you very much for being here. We got Edward in here. Shouts out to Edward. Cartel, as always a pleasure, my friend. We have the Sharp Shank in here. It says, I don't think Trevor's stock is that high to get much more than a late round pick for him. We'll get into that in a second, Sharp. And I like where your head is at, by the way. Okay, so everybody can see the article. Just wanted to make sure everybody can go ahead and check that out. But let me go ahead and read a little bit of this article here. It says, if there's no market in the top 6, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So this article was if teams decided to make trades in the first round of the NFL draft. These are the best case scenarios for them and what they can actually use for leverage to move up in the draft. And this is for the New Orleans Saints. This is what they suggested, ESPN. So ESPN suggested that they make a trade with the Los Angeles Chargers, giving away their 14th pick, which the Saints have, and their second round pick, and Trevor Penning to move up in the top 5 to get the offensive lineman that they feel they need. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of this. If there's no market in the top 6 to move up for a quarterback, the Saints might be able to jump ahead of the line to grab their favorite tackle in this class. The Chargers don't have to trade down, and they can comfortably consider a wide receiver or a tackle themselves at the number 5 spot. But there's also a team that could stand to add extra draft capital. So are the Saints, of course. But why would GM Mickey Loomis start trading down in round 1? Says moving up will cost the Saints their second round pick, and the guy thought was going to be their left tackle of the future in Penning. All right, so we'll stop right there. So as you can see, they're saying that the New Orleans Saints can package their first round pick, their second round pick, and Trevor Penning for an offensive lineman. Now, this is where I completely 100% disagree with this. And I think we all know where this is going. And I've said this before, and some of you probably heard me say this before, but because you don't know the future of your team when it comes to the coaching staff, you should look at this season. Even if you are not, you should be looking at this season as if Dennis Allen is on the hot seat. And maybe if you had some confidence in Dennis Allen, maybe Dennis Allen showed you something over the last 2 seasons where you can say, well, there's a strong chance where he'll be our coach for the future. Other than I like Dennis Allen and I'm not ready to throw him away like the rest of the fan base, then this is what I feel. I feel that you need to get as many draft picks as possible because you want to make your franchise as appealing as you possibly can for the next coach to come in. Because we all know that the Saints over the last few years have been dealing with salary cap issues, and you do not want to add on draft issues. Because if you're looking at the NFL draft, right? Let's just say you're looking at this NFL draft, you're looking at, this particular scenario. The New Orleans Saints, if they were to pick in the top 5, make this trade with the Los Angeles Chargers, they will not have another pick. Are y'all ready for this? Until the 5th freaking round. So you're going to get a first round pick in the top 5, and you won't have another pick till the 5th round, which to me would be an absolute mistake. And then also, we also have to take into account that this is a very deep draft for the offensive lineman. We talked about this all the time. We say this all the time. This is a deep draft. And you also have teams at the top that need other things other than an offensive lineman. You got quarterbacks that are going to go off the board. You got wide receivers that are going to go off the board. You got pass rushers that are going to go off the board. So we don't know how this draft is going to shape up. We've seen all of these different mock drafts from Mel Kiper to Phil Yates to all of these different aficionados out there. We've seen them, but it's not set in stone. We have seen mock drafts throughout the years, and they look nothing like the actual thing on draft day. So to me, I think that it would be a huge mistake for the New Orleans Saints to move up to use Trevor Penning as leverage. I feel that Trevor Penning got the short end of the stick. It goes back to the last conversation we had here on the State of the Saints podcast, when we talked about the Saints moving on from a lot of these position coaches, moving on because these coaches were not being as effective as they should be. And we also talk about some of the issues and the frustrations that we have watching this coaching staff not get the best out of these players. So to me, I feel like it would be hypocritical for me just to say that Trevor Penning is not a good offensive lineman in the National Football League, especially since we've seen the New Orleans Saints change over the majority of their offensive coaching staff. That would be an absolute mistake for the New Orleans Saints. So the way I look at it, I think that the New Orleans Saints should stay at number 14, try to get the best offensive lineman at number 14, and use that second round pick for maybe a pass catcher or something that you actually need. This team is not a player away from making a Super Bowl. To make a decision like that, I feel like your team should be maybe one or two pieces away from really making a run. And we know that the Saints aren't even a team that a lot of people, including us as members of the Who Dat Nation, we know that we don't even put them in the playoff conversation. So why would you jeopardize your future? Why would you neglect to rebuild or neglect to try to invest in your future by going out here trying to get a top 5 pick that more than likely you'll get somebody just as good at number 14? It just does not make any sense, but I can completely understand the scenario. I can completely understand why they decided, to do this. This is mostly just, just friendly conversation, right? Just barbershop talk. Not saying that teams need to do this, but if they did, this is how it would look. But I think it would be a huge mistake if the New Orleans Saints were to go out here and aggressively try to move up for a top 5 pick. Now, the only reason I stand on this, Who Dat Nation, the only reason I feel that the New Orleans Saints should trade up if they're getting their quarterback of the future. If you're doing that, then all deals are off. Because if you draft the right quarterback, then whoever comes into the organization, if Dennis Allen doesn't pan out, at least they know they have a young, promising quarterback. And if you don't do anything ridiculous like give away your first round pick next year, then your draft picks still look appealing. So maybe you can build on that quarterback, or build around him, I should say. But right now, you only should be looking at trying to make your team better, especially if you have a head coach on the hot seat. So that's something that I feel like the Saints need to consider. I'm pretty sure that the Saints aren't looking at this ESPN report, and I feel very strongly that Mickey Loomis is not allowing this report to try to get into his mind to make him possibly think about this scenario, it would be a mistake, in my opinion, especially if you don't know the future of Dennis Allen. Because you can like Dennis Allen all day and night. You can like Dennis Allen all day and night, just like you like Pete Carmichael. Just like you said he was one of the right guys in the building, but turns out he was the wrong guy, which is why you decided to replace him with Clint Kubiak. So this is not set in stone. So you should not try to go out here and jeopardize your future for a coach that more than likely, if things stay the same, won't be here. But let me go ahead and hear from you. And we'll pick it up from there. I want to acknowledge Keen Arthur. Thank you very much for the $2. Says TJ, you free on 621. Wanted to invite you to an event. I'm not sure. Keen Arthur. I got to check and see about June 21st. I'm not too sure about that. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I'm free during that time. I'm actually starting at the bottom a little bit, folks. So if you don't hear your question, feel free to copy and paste it down at the bottom. Say hit that like button and subscribe to the SOTS on your way in. I appreciate that, Keen Arthur. Says no need to take the rush. Yeah, I look. I don't know if you're saying like the pass rush or the draft pick itself. Yeah, if we're talking about trading up to get in the top 5, I'm not on board with that. I say give Penning another year to see how much he progresses and to see how much of an impact he can make on the line. If he don't show up, then they can move him to add some draft capital. Yeah, Kai, I think that you should give him another opportunity, but I don't think you should go into 2024 with him as your starting left tackle on your mind. I feel you should draft the way a team would draft if they have absolutely no left tackle. Because no disrespect to Trevor Penning, and I stand by this. The way that this team has been ran over the last couple of years, I feel like it's absolutely insane to criticize a player or a lack of players' development when we all have our criticisms about this coaching staff. I feel like it's hypocritical. So to me, you got yourself some new coaches. I'm not saying that Trevor Penning has to go from, I don't know, Jamal Brown or whatever, go from that to Quentin Nelson overnight. Right? I don't expect that to happen. Right? But you want to see little nuances of improvement. You want to see little nuances of things that you didn't see. See, I think sometimes when we look at first round draft picks, if they're not Aaron Donald right away, or if they're not J.J. Watt right away, or if they're not like one of the top players in the entire NFL right away, we feel like it's a waste of a draft pick. But I said on the last episode, everybody is not going to hit the ground running. Everybody is not going to be everything we expect them to be in year one. And if you combine the fact that the Saints coaching staff has some developmental issues, you really got to give this guy an opportunity. But once again, you should approach 2024 as if you don't have a left tackle and maybe consider playing him across the line throughout the offseason and training camp. Maybe giving him some reps at left tackle, see if there was some development happening in the offseason, maybe some private workouts that he worked on and worked with a couple of Hall of Famers. Maybe he got a little bit better with technique, but also slide him to the side at guard to see if there's something there. And definitely draft the offensive lineman that is a tackle. That will more than likely, if he is everything you expect him to be that left tackle. That is what I would do. That's what I would do. if I were the New Orleans Saints. But I am not giving up on Trevor Penning after 2 years of football. Anybody giving up on this guy, I'm talking Trevor Penning, after 2 seasons, after what we have seen from this New Orleans Saints coaching staff, I feel like that's unfair. It is unfair to judge this guy when we have our criticisms of this team. None of us don't like Sassy Walker, Dennis. Look, I think that Dennis Allen leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the Who Dat Nation. I think the New Orleans Saints know that. I think that the New Orleans Saints understand that they are going into 2024. Excuse me. They're going into 2024 with a lot of Saints fans wanting Dennis Allen head on a silver platter. I'm sorry, but that's the most frank way I can put the whole entire situation. They know that. Unless they are just living in some type of fantasy world, and I get it. You can't run your organization, listening to the fans, listening to social media. But you should also take a close look at what Dennis Allen is actually doing and how his lack of leadership is affecting the Who Dat Nation. Now, if Dennis Allen goes into 2024 and the team looks better and they're winning games, I have no problem. I have no problem, Who Dat Nation. I promise you, I have no problem at all with that, because it's about developing. It's about getting better. So if he gets better, no need for us to sit up here and just be like, oh man, well, he still stink, he still sucked, because the overall objective is for our favorite team, the New Orleans Saints, to be better, to give us a better product than we have seen over the last few seasons. So I'm not going to criticize him, and I'm not going to have shows where I'm just nitpicking him if they're winning football games. The name of the game is to win, to score more points than the opposition. And if they're doing that consistently, then I ain't got no problem with it. But do I feel like it's sustainable? That's the big question. Is that success sustainable? Or is it basically just masked because you have some better coordinators and some better coaches? We'll see. Jerry says, sorry, I'm late. That's okay, Jerry. This is about as impromptu as possible. When have y'all ever seen me do the State of Saints podcast live on a Saturday afternoon? I mean, come on, man. So, and plus, it's not going to be very long, because I believe they got a fight tonight that I want to go ahead and check out, man. So we might be heading out really soon. Might go to Dave and Buster to check out that fight. Says TJ, is it fair to say there's any chance that Clint Kubiak is actually auditioning for the head coaching position right now? A head coaching position, Cartel, or the Saints head coaching position right now? Because if to be honest with you, there's really no difference. If he does a really good job as an offensive coordinator for the Saints, then other jobs are going to open up. And if he can get the best out of this offense, but the Saints still fall short, who knows if the Saints would just slide him into that position. But I also would say that it shouldn't be a foregone conclusion. It should not. Like, just because he performs well should not be, well, you did a good job, so we're going to make you the head coach. She'll learn your lesson the first time, right? Dennis Allen had the defense looking immaculate, had them looking really, really good. All of a sudden, the Saints basically coasted through interviews, not really paying attention to guys like Brian Flores, not really paying attention to guys like Eric Bieniemy or Doug Peterson. Like, basically was looking at these guys as if they were the adults on the Charlie Brown's Peanuts cartoons. Like, they don't talk, but they be like, womp, 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 womp. Because they already had their mindset on Dennis Allen. So to me, no matter how well he does, you go through process. You go and do what's necessary to find the right coach. Because even though Clint Kubiak, if he does a good job, and hopefully he does, it should not be set in stone because he did a good job. Too much of that going on with the New Orleans Saints organization, which is why, this is just my opinion, we're dealing with some of the same situations right now because everybody does well. And the New Orleans Saints are an organization where they reward you for, for the contributions that you have put forth throughout the years. Sometimes I feel like it's too much family and not enough business, in my opinion. And I feel like because they feel forever indebted to certain players or certain coaches, they're giving them opportunities. So they'll try to give them a chance when they doing their due diligence. And maybe that coach may end up being the right person, but you also should really do your due diligence. So he should be auditioning regardless. If he does a good job and Dennis Allen doesn't pan out, yeah, he is auditioning for the job. But he's auditioning for other jobs as well if coaches, get fired at the end of the season. Keen Arthur, well-spoken. Fail-safe valve is a must concerning Penning. I don't know exactly what Keen Arthur said. Okay, he says, if you're going to give Penning another year, you still draft his replacement as a fail-safe. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier. You approach this draft as if you don't have a left tackle because you don't. You don't. I mean, by positions, you have a left tackle, but he may not be that left tackle that you're looking for. He may not be that future left tackle that you need. So approach it as such. I'm talking the draft. Hope Penning and Isaiah Foskey can turn the corner. You know what? Foskey has fallen into that Peyton Turner category. You know the guy that on the team, but you don't remember is on the team. I call them the Judy Winslows. For those that used to grow up, for those that grew up, watching Family Matters, you know that at the beginning of the sitcom, they had, Carl and Harry Winslow had 3 kids. They had Eddie, Laura, and Judy. And then all of a sudden, like, Judy went upstairs and never came back. And then they had like one episode where Judy basically just came down the stairs just randomly. Like, man, I ain't seen Judy in about 50 episodes. That is how I feel about Isaiah Foskey and Trevor Penning. They are the Judy Winslows of the New Orleans Saints. You do not want to be a Judy Winslow. People just forget that you exist. And I forgot that Isaiah Foskey was on the team. And Peyton Turner, like, when you start naming pass rushers, when you start naming guys on the line, I honestly forget this guy. Like, when I started thinking about, man, the Saints need an effective pass rush, I started naming Cam Jordan and Tano Passigno and Brian Brzee and Carl Granderson. And I honestly forget that Peyton Turner is on the team. The Judy Winslows of the New Orleans Saints right now. But I'm not ready to wash my hands. I'm not ready to wash my hands with Isaiah Foskey because, once again, he's young, he's inexperienced, but I will say something that concerns me that I'm hearing about him is his cold motor. And, Dennis Allen talked about that. Like, it's on and off. Like, we need consistency at that. So, to me, you got to keep that motor hot. You got to keep it running. You got to have that mean streak. You got to have that aggression. And you got to have it on every play. And right now, from everything that I hear, Isaiah Foskey doesn't have it. But it's not to say that he can't get it. But as far as Peyton Turner is concerned, it's make or break. It's make or break. I don't care what you become. This is one of those things where if a player leaves a team and they end up becoming a beast, you can't even get mad. Like, you can't even get mad. You can't say, oh, man, where this was at when you were playing for it. You can't even say that because it wasn't there. And anything other than that is a surprise. And it's a benefit for the team that he goes to. If the New Orleans Saints move on from Peyton Turner, they would have done what all other 31 teams would have done. So this is a make it or break a year for Peyton Turner. No more, oh, he was in the lab. No more, oh, we seen this, that, and the third, and he's ready to break out. Look, man, that glass bend and broke. We done got the broom. We done swept it up on a dustpan. We done threw that thing in the trash. That, like, breaking through, you done already supposed to be done that, right? We done cleaned the glass up. You know, I mean, we forgot the glass was there. Just go out there and be as productive as possible. And I think that, a couple things would happen. If the Saints decide to not, bring you back, at least you'll have an opportunity to go somewhere else. I mean, we see Marcus Davenport still out here eating, right? I mean, Davenport still got a job, even though he had this high ceiling, stayed hurt, but he's still making money in the league. So maybe this can be an opportunity for Peyton Turner, but at least Marcus Davenport at least showed you some flashes. Like, I honestly can't tell you what Peyton Turner can do. I can't tell you like what he does best. I seen a couple play. It's like, I don't know. It's like the injury bug is constantly hitting him, and the injury guys are just so cruel to this guy because every time he gets hurt, it's because he made a play. Like he got hurt the first time making a sack. He got hurt the next time after he made a sack. I'm like, dude, like all these different promising plays you making, and it's just these freak accidents that keep happening to you. Somebody roll up over you as you getting out of the pile after you get a sack. You scrounging, and hustling for the football to recover a fumble, and you like, my goodness, like the injury guys have been extremely cruel to him. So it's almost like a great tease, right? It's almost like Aaron Rodgers running out week 1 for the Jets, and everybody just waiting with bated breath to see number 8, as he is right now, help the Jets get out of mediocrity. And then all of a sudden, grand opening, grand closing after 4 plays. My goodness. So it's hard to say what this guy can actually do well. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's promising. I don't know. I don't know what you have there. And I know this. I don't feel like this is a shot at him either, because even he would have to admit, if a person says, "What is Peyton Turner going to do in 2024?" and they say, "I don't know," like, he can't even get mad. He can't even get mad. Shouts out to you, Mario. Thank you for being here, man. No cold motors. I agree with that. Let's see. TJ, why do you expect every player to be an instant hit when they transition to the league, which is considered another level? If it's that easy to acclimate, more players would be stars. And that's what I said, King Arthur, also. All first-round picks aren't created equal. See, we take a first-round pick and we basically compare them to outliers. Like, because CJ Stroud played so well in 2023, everybody is going to expect Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, all to just look like Pro Bowl, all-pro quarterbacks. It's because it's just how our mind works. When we see something is attainable, we feel like it's not even an exception to the rule. It's what the rule is now. And it's not always the case. It doesn't work like that. If you go out to the basketball court and you get out your car, and let's just say from your car to where the hoop is 50 feet. You get out the car, you have the ball in hand, and you just hit a moonshot 50 feet, and it goes all net. Now, you started off on a high note. Your confidence is at all-time high. But what are the chances of you going back to that same spot and hitting that same moonshot? Now, there's a percentage that it can happen again, but it probably won't. That is how I feel like sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, we need to look at these situations. we need to look at CJ Stroud as an outlier. We need to look at Michael Parsons' rookie season as an outlier because every player is not going to be like that. There's going to be a developmental process that players are going to have to go through in order for them to be what they need to be by year 3, be what they need to be by year 4. We as fans sometimes have got to be patient. And we can't look at the CJ Strouds of the world all the time or the Michael Parsons of the world all the time and get mad when Trevor Penning doesn't look like an all-pro offensive lineman or Isaiah Foskey doesn't look like an all-pro pass rush. We can't get upset with that. We have to trust the process. We couldn't trust the process that the Saints have been dealing with over the last few seasons. Thus the reason why those coaches are no longer here. But they brought in some new blood, some new philosophies, new ways of thinking. So let's see where this goes. But you should never look at a player that has a monumental season. And then all of a sudden, like, everybody that comes after him should be that. Like, if that was the case, then why would that player be special? It's almost a conversation that we have about Drew Brees. We get mad at the quarterback position. But if the next quarterback came in and he looks just like Drew Brees, we'll be happy about it. But you'll also have to like take into account like how special was Drew Brees. When a player doesn't make a play, a quarterback doesn't throw the ball where it needs to be on time or make a decision that Drew would have made, then we're like, man, man, Drew would have made that play. Why would we say that? Why would we say, well, Drew would have made that play? It's because Drew Brees is the standard. And everybody isn't going to do what Drew did in that instance. I hope that makes sense to some people. Should be interesting. Yeah. This draft should be extremely interesting. Should be interesting to see what the Saints are going to do. Should be interesting to see if Peyton Turner can live up to that potential and Isaiah Foskey can hit the ground running. It's thunder up over here, Jerry. Pels and 6. Yeah, man. Shouts out to the Pels, man. Shouts out to the Pelicans making a postseason. I mean, congratulations to them. At least somebody making a postseason, for God's sakes. At least somebody doing something. Maybe the Saints need to learn from the Pelicans, but shouts out to the Pelicans. Trust me, the New Orleans Saints Pelicans fan base, they needed this, man. They needed it. And I'm glad that the Pelicans came through. Because I don't know what it would have looked like if the Pelicans, who beat the Kings, 5 times this season? And the Kings would have came into the Smoothie King Center and beat them. I don't know how that would have looked. I mean, we all know about some of those Saints got 12 wins, 13 wins. They got a home playoff game in a wild card round and they lose. We all know how that feels, right? We all know how that feels, and we don't want that anymore. Watch out for Lattimore as trade bait in the draft. Just a thought. I hate. Well, Aaron, you got a good point on that. I feel like it would be absolutely foolish to trade Marshon Lattimore. I stand by that, especially since, Isaac Yiadom goes to the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. You got some other players that are young and inexperienced. I like Alontae Taylor a lot, but I don't think that if you put Alontae Taylor on the outside, it's just going to absorb your problems. Marshon Lattimore is special. And I think that it should take a special circumstance to get rid of a special player or to trade a special player. And he's a special player. And I know we live in the microwave world now where we only base things on what's going on right now. But once upon a time, the Saints secondary was garbage. And the cornerbacks that they had out there couldn't cover with a bed sheet. And in 2017, the Saints for the first time in their franchise history, in my opinion, had a lockdown, shutdown corner that can neutralize the best wide receiver on a team more so than not. And I don't feel like it's a deal breaker because he's had 2 years of unfortunate injuries. He still is good. He still is talented. And he's a difference maker when he's out there. So to me, it would have to be a hell of a package for me to get rid of Marshon Lattimore. But hey, I mean, these New Orleans Saints, I don't know about. I don't know. I don't know. Like, trying to get rid of players because they don't agree with a coach that hasn't won anything, even though you can tell there's some friction within the locker room. Even some players have admitted to that. So if you're going to get rid of a player that is a true difference maker because you want to appease a coach that there's a strong chance that won't be here in 2025, be my guest. And I guarantee you the team that acquires Marshon Lattimore would be much better and have a better chance at a Super Bowl championship because they have a cornerback that can neutralize a field. He hasn't been playing showing. Could happen. Saints fans don't like change. Well, it's not the fact that the Saints don't like change. What are you changing him for? Like I said before, we have a tendency of forgetting what guys have done. It's not like when Marshon Lattimore is out there, when he's healthy, he's not effective. Now, if he took steps back on the top of being hurt, then I would concede and say, you know what, maybe they need to look into that, maybe getting rid of him a year earlier than a year late. But this guy he's just as effective as he's always been. And a couple injuries do not, it don't derail my thoughts about Marshon Lattimore as a cornerback. He's still one of the best cornerbacks in the league. It's not the fact that we don't like change. Saints fans don't like change. What are you changing him for? What are you changing him for? If you're changing him for a guy that is going to do the same things he's done, mazel tov. Like, great. But if it's somebody that you don't know about or you're not sure about, I don't know about that. And you can't, like, I want people to understand this. I am excited about what I see out of Paulson Adebo. I'm excited about it. It's the potential that we all felt he had. But it's 1 year that we've seen him really lock down and be possibly be a special cornerback. But we know that how many years have we seen guys have monster years? And it's rather they get traded or they become the number one guy and they can't live up to that moniker. How many times have we saw this? So we can't, like, I am a firm believer in consistency. I'm not real big on moments. I think moments sometimes can kind of blind us from reality. If Paulson Adebo has another season or takes a step forward in 2024, then I would say, you know what? He can be a possible number one corner. But right now, I can't trust it. I need to see it consistently. I need to see it throughout the years. I need to see a larger body of work for me to say, I think the Saints will be okay without Marshon Lattimore. I do not. I do not think that the New Orleans Saints would be okay without Marshon Lattimore. There will still be a formidable defense. There will still be plays in which they will make because Dennis Allen is a hell of a defensive coordinator, masquerading as a head coach. But you're going to see plays that you're going to wish that Marshon Lattimore was out there if he was to get traded. I keep saying this. This is just my opinion. Well, however you feel about it, that's fine. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just telling you how I feel. It's not about change. It's about what are you actually changing him for? What are you getting? Like, if you're talking to Lante Taylor, you're basically trying to sell me on possibilities. Like, because we seen Alontae Taylor have up and down. Like, it's been up and down. Rather he's in a slot or rather he's on the outside. So you're basically selling me on potential, which I think he has a lot of, but you're still selling me on potential. If it wasn't for COVID, Adebo would have gone to another team with a higher draft pick plus, let me see, the option out his last year. Well, look, I already said that. I already said that. I mean, I've said that before, and I agree with you on that. He would have been a higher draft pick, played in a Pac-12. Pac-12 was kind of lukewarm about playing during the COVID year. Of course, he was like, man, just forget it. I'm not going to play. And it affected his draft stock. I do agree with you on that. But at the same time, this still is a guy who has not consistently shown you that he can be the number one guy. He showed you that he has the potential, but he hasn't shown you that he can be the number one guy. And honestly, you in this past heavy NFL world that we watch and we view and we attend, you need as many cornerbacks to be able to neutralize the field as possible. So if you actually have a Marshon Lattimore and a promising Paulson Adebo, you want to keep that together as much as possible, because teams are getting better. These wide receivers are becoming more and more athletic. The rules are starting to sway more and more towards the offense. So you need a defense in the secondary that can be able to neutralize this field. But I agree with you. I think there's a lot there. But I am very, 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 very skeptical about guys giving me 1 year of full potential. Now, we've seen that a guy will show you that, and it'll continue to be that way, and which I hope that it is. But I still need to see it. And if you don't need to trade Marshon Lattimore, you shouldn't. I mean, I would keep him. I would, if he does get traded, it would have to be like the Godfather. You know what I'm saying? Like we said, to make an offer, you can't refuse. Like it would have to be something like that. Like it would have to be like, I got to make your offer. You know what I'm saying? You can't refuse. It would have to be something like that. It would have to be like super appealing, where members of the Who Dat Nation be like, you know what? I understand. But I wouldn't be in a hurry to move on from Marshon Lattimore. I normally don't see TJAY Jones on Saturday afternoon, but since the draft is Thursday night, why not? Yeah, like I said, if you just tuned in, I recorded the Unapologetic podcast, and I was like, well, let me just go ahead and do an episode of State of the Saints, because I haven't done one in the last couple of days. So I decided to go ahead and do one on a Saturday afternoon, which is completely unconventional. But I appreciate you all for being here, and yeah, quite a few people in here. I'm very shocked. Like I would have thought they would have had less people in here, but I appreciate everybody for being here, right? No matter where you are. I'm pretty sure some of you are probably out and about. I don't know what the weather is out there in Louisiana. Out here in Myrtle Beach, it's hot, but it's still beautiful. Definitely beach weather. Once the sun goes down a little bit and it starts to cool off, but yeah, thank y'all for being here, man. That just shows you how much y'all appreciate, man. I appreciate you all, man, and I thank y'all for that. That means a lot to me. That you spending your Saturday afternoon with me. I'm gonna take a few more, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. To see if iron sharpens iron, you can't, as a head coach, try to muzzle your players because they disagree at times. That's not leadership. That's a dictatorship. And we know DA has not earned that kind of respect. I agree. I agree. I do see it. I do see it two ways. But I only see it if the coach is making changes, those changes are working, and some winning is taking place. So if you won in the past with another coach, right? And a new coach comes in, and let's just say, for example, practice starts at 9:30. He wants you there at 8:30, the new coach. And you see that being at 8:30, y'all winning, but you just don't want to concede, or you just don't want to buy into the system. Then I feel like with that, then a conversation needs to be had, and if you can't agree, then that player may need to find somewhere else. But when you don't have enough skins on the wall, like you alluded to, King Arthur, then it's kind of hard for a player to try to buy in, especially when you're losing games you should be winning, and you're not where a lot of aficionados expect you to be, and also where you feel you should be. So I can understand that, but you know what solves all that? Winning. That's what solves all that. Winning solves everything. It's nice here in Gulfport, Mississippi. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Gulfport out there. Let's see. It's raining, crying Cowboy fans in Dallas. TJ, early prediction: who's likely to get your Bayou Baller trophy for week 1? You know what? I don't know. It remains to be seen. Y'all know how I do it, man. I like to see everything kind of play out. It's kind of hard to say, King Arthur, because you can say one player and then so many things can happen. You got OTAs, you got mini camp, you got training camp. Guys get hurt. I mean, knock on wood, I don't want to see that, but it happens. So I guess like when it's all said and done, let's circle back around and then I'll be able to answer your question. Because right now, like, so hard to tell because, I mean, you just don't know how the season is going to turn out. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Shouts out to everybody that's watching, no matter where you are, spending a little bit of your Saturday with yours truly. This is a very unconventional show, so I got to do this. To all those that's going to be checking this out, didn't check it out live, shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all of the after show boys out there, man. Appreciate y'all. Much love to you. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you subscribe to the channel. Shouts out to you, Eli. Look, I know what you're doing up in here, man. I mean, you're a Falcon fan, but look, if you're a fan of football, we appreciate it. You know, as long as you ain't out of line and doing no crazy stuff, we appreciate you. Thank you for being here. This ain't one of them shows we just, gonna just take shots at you and all that kind of, you're a Falcon fan. Boo. Yeah, you know how it is, man. Look, you love your team. You here to support your team. Shouts out to you for being here. Really do appreciate it. But previous episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. You can follow me on Instagram at TJAY Jones _. You can follow me on TikTok at TJ the Host. TJAYTAG host, and also on X at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I gotta say is the Falcons suck. And who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.